RightNowMedia. It's for groups. It's for personal devotion. It's for parents.
The bullseye of parenting is to raise children who become like Jesus.
It's for kids.
This is Phil. We're digging into the Bible, which, as we've mentioned, is more than just a book.
It's for tough times.
So when you recognize that you're trying to have a conversation with your spouse and they're not ready to talk, it's not helpful to keep pressing them.
It's for every phase of life.
If you've made mistakes with money, you know what that makes you? Over 12.
And now, it's yours. We've purchased a RightNowMedia subscription for everyone in our church. So check your inbox for the digital invitation and download the app for instant access to thousands of biblically based videos. Get equipped. Get inspired.
Welcome to a new edition of Staff Picks, and this is something that we're doing throughout this month. We have a tremendous resource with RightNowMedia, but sometimes it's a little overwhelming to know how to start. And so today I'm sitting down with our associate pastor, the Reverend Samuel Kim, and it's great to have him here. And over this year, Samuel has done an amazing job just keeping things going here at the church, but also moving us forward in ministry in ways that we never could have imagined.
Yes.
And thank you so much to you, but also to your family who have come alongside and really helped out. One of the roles that Samuel has is to resource our small groups and small group leaders. And so part of the focus of today is to look at some of those resources that we find on RightNowMedia and how we might access them. So Samuel, what's your recommendations? What are your staff picks?
Oh, I have 3 picks today. Most of these 3 picks is I use for the groups, my own groups. And then, so I think this is worth to introduce to our congregation to use this one as a small group or as a family or as a personal devotion. I think it is worth to use it. So I have 3 picks. So first one is called The Gospel of Mark. So the author is very famous pastor Francis Chan. So everyone knew him, I guess. So this is about the Gospel of Mark. So as you preached it weeks ago about the Gospels, and the Gospel of Mark is shortest one in the photo.
That's why it's my favorite.
That's great. But actually, this is really great because actually Francis Chan traveled to Israel. He filmed all the entire session at Israel from Galilee to Jerusalem. So when you watch this video, you can see all the great scenery in Israel. So that's another benefit you can take at this one. It has 11 sessions from the 5-minute to 15-minute long, and then also free leader's guide and the RightNowMedia. So you can choose the questions, you can see all the things. So the group leaders, you can choose this one. Some of our groups, the small groups, they already use this one, and there's a really good feedback from them. So I'm really glad to introduce this one, The Gospel of Mark.
Okay, that's great. Francis Chan, always a favorite. Okay, what's next?
Next one is the RightNowMedia. They produce their own stuff, own the Bible study resources, everything. But not only for themselves, what the resources they made it, but they bring some really great resources from outside of RightNowMedia. So the second one is called The Starting Point. This is actually from the pastor Andy Stanley. So he's the famous pastor in these days. He's the senior pastor of North Point Community Church. So Starting Point is their kind of the group Bible study resource for the newcomers, someone who start their new journey as a Christian. So actually, before they start to commit as a Christian, so they just try to introduce what gospel is, who Jesus is, something like that. So the original one has 10 sessions because I used this one when I was in Korean church. So I used for this one for the young adult group and the adult group. I translate this the group handout to the Korean version, so I made a hand copy of this one. So I used it, but it was really worked well with the people. So it's not difficult. There's no difficult word. There's a very easy word, and then easy common sense they can understand. So it has 8 sessions. This is the revised one. So 17 minutes to 20 minutes, a little bit longer than the usual, but this is really great resource. But there's no free resource, leader's guide or group handout, because this is not made by RightNowMedia. But you can buy this book from the Amazon or any bookstore. But it's a small book, but it's just really worth to purchase if you're interested in this one. So I strongly suggest if you are you want to explore like what gospel is, what Jesus is, kind of very first step, this is the time you can start over.
Great.
So I strongly suggest this one.
And if you have some neighbors or some friends that wanted to do the study together and you're looking for the resource to purchase the books, we'd love to come alongside and help make sure that you can make that purchase.
Absolutely.
So that the groups can have the books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially the parents, if you want to start with your kids, young kids, like the high school or university kids. This is the language they can understand, not a kind of very ordinary Christian word. No, they don't use it. The kind of very common words, they use it. So I think this is a really good resource for them.
Fantastic. Okay. Number 3.
Number 3, we call Love Talk.
Oh, okay.
You can imagine already. I think so. This book's author is Les and Wesley PARROTT. They are, both couples are really famous. They're a doctor. And then I used to use this one for the marriage preparation class with a young couple, especially. And then they said this one is really interesting when they start. And then they said, this is what they said. Do you ever feel like your spouse is speaking in a foreign language?
Right.
So that's the kind of the starting point of all the group study. This is all about how to communicate each other. Yeah. Even before marriage, or even someone who already married of 10 years, 20 years, even 30 years, more than 30 years. So I think this is a small set, 5 sessions in there. It's not a longer one, and then 8 to 17 minutes. And then good thing is that there's a free leader's guide and group handouts there. Wow. So I strongly recommend that the husband and wife or any couples, someone who are expecting their marriage, their marriage, they can sit down and then watch and then talk about this, and honestly, it will be really helpful to develop their good relationship in the first step for the next stage. Also if someone who want to have a kind of refresh their relationship in terms of the communication, I think this is a really great source for them too. Yeah.
That's excellent. And we've had a number of young couples come through and get married this last year. And we might not see them at the church right now, but it's been great to get to know them. And this would be a great resource to recommend.
Yeah, I strongly recommend this.
Absolutely. Now, RightNowMedia also has options now so that groups, if they want to watch these things online together, they can,
That's
right?
That's true. Yeah.
Do you want to mention something about that?
So like right now, everyone is getting familiar with the Zoom. It's much like the kind of Zoom format, but the group leaders, you can set your own Zoom with this resource with your group members. So you can watch together at the same time and can feedback together at the same time. This is kind of really great platform, what they provided. So I think they develop more and more to help us.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Those are great recommendations from Pastor Samuel Kim. And if you would like more recommendations from Samuel, please contact him. Also, if you want to know some of the technology and how to use it best, Samuel is your man. So
I'll be there.
Thanks for checking in today with Samuel and myself. And we look forward to exploring this tremendous resource.
That's great.
Thanks, Samuel.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.